The Midnight Within by Jade. 1. October 8th. Stepping from the house, Amy shivered against the chill night air. She should have grabbed her coat, but she only wanted a few puffs off her cigarette and a few minutes away from the lights and noise of the party still raging inside the house. Shivering, she dropped her smoke, stepping on it with one spiked heel, and bent down to blow out the candlelit pumpkins at her feet. If it wasn't so cold out, she would have gone for a walk to clear her head and to try to forget about the drama of her life. The wind picked up, swirling dead leaves around her feet and rattling the branches of the bare trees above her head. It was the perfect night for a Halloween party, even if it wasn't yet Halloween. It was the one night that she thought that she could forget her problems, becoming someone else, someone not so average even, for just one night. Stepping back inside, Amy fought the tears that wanted to roll down her cold red cheeks. The sounds of the music and laughter spilled from the other room, invading the small kitchen and making her want to march into the other room, turn off the stereo, and kick everyone out. She reached for the bottle of whiskey that she had left on the counter instead and dropped down on one of the mismatched stools they had gotten from cleanup days. She was supposed to be having fun, dancing and flirting with her friends, yet here she was, alone in the dark, nursing a bottle of Jack and wishing that she could be anywhere but here. No one came to check on her or asked if she needed another drink. Not that she needed any more liquor. She never understood how some of her friends could drink, throw up, and continue to drink. Once she hit the wall, all she wanted was to eat carbs and pass out. She hated the feeling of the room spinning and hated throwing up even more. Miserable, she sat with the bottle nestled between her fabric-covered legs and let the tears roll down her face. She ate the last of the king cake, washing it down with Jack Daniels and wishing that she was anywhere but this miserable podunk town. Outside the window, the bloated orange sun rose up behind the black skeletal trees, reminding her that winter and all its cold, bleak misery was just around the corner. Lifting the bottle, she wet her lips, watching helplessly as a bright swath of pink fabric and a smear of bright red lipstick on a pale round face danced into her view through the brightly lit square of the doorway. Didn't they know she was there? Did they even care? A hot spike of anger rose, tightening her chest. The couple falls heavily against the wall, kissing and groping with urgent need, and fresh tears wet Amy's cheeks, tracking her cheap makeup and staining the fabric of her Renaissance-style gown. Why had she been stupid enough to bring her crush to the party in the first place, when she knew very well that her so-called friend would make a move on him? Of course she would know it would happen and let it, watching in helpless disgust as they pawed at each other without care. Amy hated them for what they were doing to her, yet hated herself more for caring so much. Her mind raced. Not for the first time, her thoughts turned to the razor that she kept hidden in her bedroom. How easy would it be to take the rest of her pills, drain the bottle, and slit her wrists? The party would rage on, and then perhaps she could find the peace she was so desperately craving. They would not laugh at that then, would they? So lost in her own little fantasy, she never noticed the stranger who joined her in the dark kitchen until there was the strike of a single match, a momentary glimpse of a sharp-boned, shadowy face, half hidden by long black hair, and snowy white hands that toyed with the scattering of table decorations. Startled, she went to stand and found the room tilting like a crazy ride. The floor slid away from her, bringing her back down hard into a chair and drawing a short laugh from her dry lips. Had she really drunk so much? And who was this asshole in her kitchen? And why was he dressed like an 80s rock fashion victim? Shadow Man smiled slowly, tilting his head and fixing her with an amber-eyed stare. It was the look that you saw every afternoon on TV just before they cut to commercial, and it made her want to giggle. This whole thing was making her want to laugh. Surely her friends were secretly filming them. "Why does a beauty hide herself in the dark?" he asked with a twitch of his two perfect lips. His voice was smooth like warm honey that sent an instant hot ache straight into her groin. It reddened her cheeks as she tried to stand up on wobbly legs. "Oh God, you scared me. Did Kat put you up to this?" Chuckling through her tears, she swiped at her wet cheeks, squinting at him to get a better look. She should join the others, but she was trying to figure out if she knew him or not. She would feel foolish if he were someone that she should know and did not recognize. "Why do you sound like Edward? You know I hate that movie, right?" Amy looked again at the open door. "You definitely don't want to go in there." The man flashed her a hungry, heart-wrenching smile, his gaze following Amy's to the brightly lit doorway and the still groping couple. "It's not going to be pretty." His voice held the slightest hint of sadness as he dropped his clove into the punch. Before she could move, he was in front of her, trapping her between the counter and his well-muscled body. Ugh, they want to watch the whole frickin' Twilight movies on Netflix. I mean, come on. Let's watch Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers, for God's sake. Not that vampire crap. Who sparkles in sunlight? She fought the urge to push him away as a blush crept into her cheeks. Forget that. His cold fingers brushed gently across her wet cheeks as he locked eyes with her. I am here to help you. To make you forget your problems. I'm the monster that lives in your dreams. The monster who will love you to death. One strong arm slid around her waist, pulling her hard into his obvious need. It's your pain and their ignorance that drew us to you. It was like a beacon calling us home. His hands moved slowly over the curves of her body, his silken lips brushing the corner of her mouth as the first hard beats of closer cut through the air, and the first pain-filled screams rose up in a crescendo. It has begun, he purred into her ear. Do you still wish to join them? Look, I don't know who you think you are, but you need to leave. Amy felt faint, her heart pounding like a big bass drum as dark brackish blood splattered the bright yellow wall just beyond the doorway. She could not take her eyes off the pale round face or the blood that was now spreading into a pool from the gaping wound in the girl's neck. Was someone really killing her friends? Or was it just a sick joke? A very real, sick joke. No joke, my love. Now, let me taste you. His breath in her ear was hot, his voice husky with hunger. Before she could protest, he scooped her up effortlessly, drawing her gaze from the carnage back to his handsome face. Oh, how she wanted to drown in that gaze, wanted to feel the caress of his strong hands against her heated skin. Was it really all that bad that some handsome stranger wanted to sweep her off her feet? How long it had been since she had been last laid. Long enough for her to have trouble remembering it, that was for sure. It was all she could think about as he carried her out of the kitchen and up the stairs. Uncannily knowing exactly what room to go to, he kicked the door shut behind them. Long after the screams died away and the house fell eerily silent, the stranger stood at the window with his back to the room and the dead girl's empty gaze. The urge to head north was still gnawing at him. He wanted to see trees and deep green forests, not the endless empty rows of corn and brown fields. No, going north would wait. Their next job could wait. They had a few other parties to crash first. He glanced at the girl on the bed, feeling let down. He craved a challenge, but like most of his victims, she had only given him an empty willingness to please. Was he getting too old for this? Or did women today really want nothing more than a dark hero to come in and sweep them off their feet? Where was the challenge in that? If he could glitter in sunlight, he would not have to hunt. He could just sit back and let them come to him. Why do you mourn an empty vessel? Shatter closed a black-nailed hand over Black's shoulder. Behind them, the first flicker of orange and yellow began to dance against the walls as the acrid smell of smoke and burnt flesh began to fill the small house. Didn't she find comfort in your arms? This was from Shatter's twin, who stood in the doorway. To mourn, I would have to feel, and I have not felt anything but hunger in decades. He let out another amused chuckle as he pushed past the twins and led them back down the stairs. Casually, they walked through the litter of mangled bodies and trash, stopping at the broken front door. Black bent down to retrieve a single string of Mardi Gras beads, yet another trinket for the growing pile. His thoughts once again turning to the man who wanted him to do one last job. Jackson was surely seething behind his huge desk as he waited for Black to call him back. Well, it did not matter. They never played by the rules. Jack should have known that by now. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out his cloves, lit a match, and inhaled deeply before letting the burning match drop down into the gas-soaked floor as the closest body caught right away, sending flames leaping into the air. All three sated and ready for a new adventure, never feeling more alive than they did at that moment. The trio of vampires emerged from the burning house with arms around shoulders and matching sharp-toothed grins. They stumbled over the leaf-covered lawn in the pre-dawn light. For them, life was good. There would always be another lost soul in another town at another party, waiting for them to arrive.